any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio on W4HC Radio, where you can learn to accelerate your body, mind, and spirit to reclaim the true potential that exists within you through cutting-edge wellness tools and modalities. Here's your host, Sara Banta.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3 teenagers. I believe that your body does want to and is capable of rebuilding and healing itself, regardless of what chronic diseases you may have. I'm here for you to answer your questions, bring you innovative and cutting-edge technology and health solutions to empower you and your ability to reach your optimal state of health. Heather Henniker has been a successful entrepreneur for most of her adult life. In 2007, she co-founded an extremely successful mobile tire company, but it wasn't until she was diagnosed with a progressive autoimmune disease that she found her true passion and path in natural adaptation methodologies. After attaining remission for her rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis with these holistic therapies, Heather opened what is now known as one of the nation's leading sports performance and adaptation centers. And it's no coincidence that her personal health journey has fueled her passion to share these cutting-edge technologies with the world. Welcome, Heather. How are you this morning?
Thank you so much, Sara. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Well, you know those people you meet and instantly you just love their energy and you feel connected as soon as you meet them. That is how I felt when I met you. You can just tell the moment that you feel or see you that your energy is full of love and you wanting to help others. And it doesn't hurt that your business is like Disneyland for someone like me. I'm always saying that I founded my business to supplement and fund my supplement addiction. And I'm sure that's what you are doing yourself with all of your technologies. So before we get to the nitty gritty about all the technologies you have, can you tell us more about your health journey and what's brought you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was not on my horizon when I was going to college or anything. And in fact, I was in the mortgage industry in 1998 and was there for about 12 years. And everyone knows the mortgage industry crashed in 2007. And along with it, my health just started to deteriorate. It just started with some inflammation in a finger and a foot. Went to the doctor and they ran all the blood tests and I come back with a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis. Western medicine wanted to put me on low dose chemotherapy to treat it. And just innately, not even having a background in this, I knew that my body is capable of regenerating and self-healing. I just needed to find out what that trick was. And so I kind of started my own path of just trying to, experience anything that I could. I mean, I was going to Chinese herbalists, acupuncture. I was going away on retreats where I was doing crazy things like wheatgrass enemas. And, I'd get a little relief here and there, and then a major flare-up would happen. And this was a journey of about 18 months. I actually happened to be in the right place at the right time, which usually happens with me. I'm taken care of, whether you believe it's God or the universe. Someone has my back. And I was at a barbecue, and you got to understand, after 18 months of this diagnosis, it was getting progressively worse. So every single joint in my body, from my feet, all my hands, I really couldn't use them. I mean, my daughter was 3 years old at the time, going to preschool, and I had to teach her how to dress herself. Just my quality of life was horrendous. All I could do was get her up, she'd dress herself, I'd get her to school, and I'd come back home and basically fetal position in the bed. And that was going on for a while. And, my brother dragged me out, said, just come to this barbecue with me. And so at the barbecue, I overheard this gentleman talking about the first technology that I experienced, CVAC pod. CVAC stands for Cyclic Variations in Adaptive Conditioning. And it's basically this pod that you sit in, and it's simulating different changes of air, density, pressure. But what it does is, with those pressure changes, if you can visualize a water bottle in there, with a lid on it, the whole time it's expanding and contracting. Well, that's happening to every cell in the body. So it really works to help flush out inflammation. And so the gentleman that was talking about it, his father had secured him a pod, one of the first pods in Orange County, through an investment. And he just said, hey, why don't you come in? There's been some preliminary studies on chronic pain, on some autoimmune. And I said, anything specific to rheumatoid arthritis? He goes, no, but that's chronic pain, inflammation, autoimmune. What do you have to lose? And at that point, I was so close to having to get on some kind of pharmaceutical just to have quality of life and to be a good mom. So I went every single day for a couple weeks. And over those weeks, my inflammation started to dissipate. My hands were the worst and they took the longest, but basically I was able to function again. And it just opened my eyes up to this world. And what do we do when something works for us and, you feel passionate about something? You just start talking to everyone and anyone. I'm in line at the grocery store and I'm talking about it. And so I was bringing him a lot of clients and he's like, man, I've never seen anything like this. We're getting 3-4 new clients a day. And I'm just like, I'm sharing from my heart. I mean, if you know that something like this exists, why wouldn't you share that? And so he asked me to go into business with him. Well, fast forward a few months, our business ethics were completely different. And I offered to buy him out and I started my own company and secured a second pod. It's funny because luckily I had, been in the mortgage industry, did very well. And I was able to invest, about $500,000 in this business, but this was over 10 years ago. And when that happened, I mean, Sara, you're an early adopter, but 10 years ago, you're talking about some of this stuff and people are looking at you like you're speaking a different language. And so that, I had that hurdle. I also had the hurdle of the FDA, you can't make medical claims. I really couldn't even talk about my personal story on my website or anything. So what it was is the professional athlete clientele. Athletes are always looking for the extra edge and endurance, and decreased recovery times. And so they kept the lights on for us until word started to spread, just affinity marketing and basically just local community. And now, our center is pretty much booked full. And, the COVID obviously has kind of changed the way we do business, but it's also really opened people's eyes to we need to be responsible for our own health. And really people are starting to look for different ways to build up their immune system naturally. And, I've found just in these last few months that we're able to educate people on that and just open their eyes and show them the tools that will do so. So the background.
Especially, like you touched on this time, I've seen in my business a huge waking up of people just in general of what's going on, what is really going on in general. And I need to take back my power. Things are out of our control in so many ways, not politically, schools. Who knows what's going to happen with schools, but health is one thing that we can control and that can be in our control, and even more so now with these tools, with supplements, with diet, with exercise, with proper sleep. And it's not just one magic pill. It's not just going into the pod and that's it. I'm sure you cleaned up your diet and you did some other things that aided in your process of healing, but it just shows you what's out there and what's, as I always say, the more I learn, the more I realize I need to learn in all of these things. And that's why I'm so excited about this morning, because as I touched on before we got on, I go in and I use one of your machines and I'm afraid to use anything else because I know I'll be there every single day of the week. So that is my fear, but it's super exciting as well. And what people should know too is a lot of these things are things that they can purchase for home use as well, and not just come into your facility. They're pricey, but there's no price for health. It's health is wealth, and you can have all the money in the world. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So
absolutely. And that's I'm glad that you touched on that, because what's happened over the last few years, actually I would say 4 years, as we were becoming more popular, people were asking, are you going to open up another facility? We need a facility in South County. We need a facility in LA. And I contemplated that, but it's, my goal, just like I know your goal, Sarah, is to help as many people as possible, millions of people. I don't want to just help hundreds of people. So a facility can help hundreds of people. I could have 10 facilities and help maybe thousands of people. But the real way is to basically get out to the masses. And yeah, we are distributors of every single technology we offer under the Ascent umbrella, which is about 11 right now, and always testing and finding the latest, greatest. I mean, what I really find, and I feel that it's my obligation, there are so many different technologies out there, and we're being presented with them on a daily basis. And I'll do my initial research and look at the efficacy, look at the science behind it. Is it proven? And then we'll actually bring it in. I'm the guinea pig, always test it on myself. I know that's how you are too. And then start testing it on employees and then some of our VIPs. But it usually takes about 6 months to a year to actually bring in a technology. And even when we do, they're not always on the website. So it's a process, but what we have is proven and it works. And I just, I love the evolution and the time that we're in. It's so exciting because things are, changing so fast, and there's so many incredible tools. So yeah. Do you want me to touch?
Yeah. And
go ahead.
First, I wanted to just mention and emphasize the fact that I've seen you bring in certain things, test them out, and I've tested one of them out for you amongst some of the other clients of yours, but that you go through that process to make sure that you're offering to your clients something that's worthwhile and cutting edge and at the very top of the top, and you're not wasting time or wasting people's money on things that are not at the cutting edge. And that's what's so exciting. You're getting the best of the best when you walk in your door. So yes, let's touch on if there's anything more you want to touch on the CVAC, because I think that is the most complicated. It's kind of the most confusing to me, actually, because you talk about how it's like being up in an airplane, which I associate as something that's bad for my health because of the radiation and everything like that. And I know you're not getting that when you're in the CVAC, but let's talk a little more about that.
Yeah, so CVAC, it's funny, when we first acquired the couple pods, there was only about 20 in the world. It's a small local USA company, actually in Murrieta, California. And now, fast forward 10 years, there's still only about 60 pods in the world. Okay, so these pods are $130,000. We're like the main distributor of them, but for the most part, they're in people's houses, that are professional athletes or, people like Tony Robbins. They have them at their houses. So as far as open to the public, it's still only about 20 something. And then we are the only facility in the US that has 2 CVAC pods under one roof. So we get a lot of couples coming in or, families, but basically there's 2 components to it. So I had touched on the pressure changes. When you're sitting inside there, you feel different pressure changes and you actually feel them in your ears. Just like when you're ascending in an airplane and then descending down. The difference is it's not a static environment. So we're not just bringing you up to altitude and leaving you there. It's very dynamic. So within a 20-minute CVAC session, you can feel between 300 to 500 pressure changes. And again, what that's doing, you imagine that water bottle in there with the lid on it, and it's constantly moving with these pressure changes. You can feel the pressure changes in your ears. They're constantly moving. Well, that's what's happening to every cell in the body. It's basically a cellular workout. So as far as the cell is basically releasing what's not supposed to be in there, right? Toxins, inflammation, waste. And then what it does is it works synergistically with the lymphatic system to help flush it out. So a lot of times when people first start using CVAC, they're running to the restroom after a couple sessions because the body is starting to get rid of that waste so fast. And then the other thing that I love, and I don't know of any other technology that works as well with the glymphatic system. So you have your lymphatic system for your body and you have your glymphatic system of the brain. And it's basically the glymphatic system comes into play a lot when we're sleeping, right? And that's where we're repairing and regenerating all of our organs in our body. Well, a lot of times right now, especially, people have issues with sleeping. So that's one of the first things people notice with doing CVAC. That was the first thing I noticed. So being in chronic pain for, a couple years, I was waking up every 20 minutes just to shift, my shoulder or whatever it was. And it was just that like pain, stabbing pain that would wake me up. Well, the first time I did CVAC, I actually slept through the night, the entire night. And I remember waking up the next day and just like, oh my gosh, I didn't wake up once. Well, we hear that a lot. So again, that those pressure changes, that flushing out of the lymphatic systems. And then the other component, which so many of our, longevity enthusiasts and athletes love, is the high altitude. So most people do think, when you're put up into high altitude for long durations, it's taxing on the body, right? The higher you go in altitude, the less oxygen that there is. So your body innately knows it needs to produce more red blood cells. Red blood cells are what carry our oxygen. The other thing, there's been some preliminary studies with some stem cell doctors that we work with pretty closely that have proven that people who use CVAC have about a 16 times greater endogenous stem cell production. That's all about regeneration. And then it also induces mitochondrial biogenesis. So the mitochondria are the batteries to our cells. They produce the energy we need. The CVAC pod helps produce more. So I mean, as far as reverse aging, I don't think there's anything that's as profound as this. And when we pair it with other, systems that we have, and we'll go into that right now, a lot of our clients, we have some clients that have been coming since right when we opened in 2010. So we're talking over 10 years, and they're so diligent. We have one in particular that comes twice a week, and he's there for an hour twice a week. And he's been doing this. He's been coming since 2013. And you just start seeing, I notice a difference if I am away and I'm not doing the CVAC pod. You just start seeing a difference in your energy. So CVAC, is incredible. It's a unique experience. It's very progressive. The highest elevations we'll go is 22,500 feet. That's higher than base camp of Mount Everest. But it takes a while to get there. So when we start out, we start very low. Like I can put an infant in the CVAC pod that isn't capable of clearing their ears with the Valsalva maneuver. And you can just kind of feel the little pressure changes in there. And then progressively, we just move up. And higher is not better. That's what, a lot of athletes come in on all modalities, and I'm sure you are aware of this too, Sarah. I want to get to the highest. I want to get to the highest.
Well, that's me. When we'll talk about the Balancer Pro, I'm always like, turn it up. So I have a few questions, and I don't want to forget them. Number one, so building red blood cells, is this going to help someone with anemia? I have a lot of clients that take the iron supplements, do what I tell them to do, including my daughter. And we just can't get the anemia to go away.
Yeah, it definitely, from what I've seen. So I'm not a doctor, and I'll just put that out there right now. We don't have any doctors on staff, but a lot of our professional athletes obviously have their baseline of where they are with their iron and their EPO and their VO2 max. And those markers consistently change. The increase in red blood cells consistently are moving up. The thing is, CVAC is not employing anything chemical or foreign. It's basically just the adaptation process. So your body is only going to get to the levels of basically homeostasis, right? It's not going to put you above to put you in an unhealthy atmosphere. I basically have been doing it for, I think 12 years now, 2009, no, 11 years. And, when I get my blood done, my markers are so incredible. And I want to talk about that too. So we've aligned ourselves with some local companies. And I also have some analyzers at the office, right? So forever, people would just come in and, I'm feeling better. And, my doctor told me to get off this pharmaceutical or whatever it was, and I can never say for someone to get off, but this was consistently happening, right? But I never had a way to gauge to see, okay, before and after. So we actually invested in a bioimpedance analyzer that measures something called phase angle. Phase angle is the integrity of the cell wall. As we age, that typically just goes down. So to put in perspective, men are usually between a 5 and a 7 on the phase angle with this particular device. Women are usually 4 to 6. Obviously, when I did mine at first, I was a little above average because I've been doing this for so long. But we have found ways inside working with other, practitioners to even manipulate it further, like doing different lifestyle changes, like intermittent fasting that you speak on, Sarah. And that was the thing. I mean, it's just not technology. It is definitely integrating and changing the way you're eating, what you're putting into your body. And then a lot of these modalities are just going to enhance that. I mean, the CVAC increases the absorption rate of anything that you're taking on a cellular level. So all of the supplements we get from Sara are going to be that much more effective. The
other question is, we'll touch on what the Balancer Pro does, but it's a lymphatic machine. So do you see someone who is doing the CVAC, do they need the Balancer Pro because you're already addressing the lymphatic system in the CVAC?
That's an excellent question. And yes, so the Balancer Pro is classified also as a medical device, but it's really working like on the lymphatic system on a physical level, whereas CVAC is more cellular. It's a smaller level that it's working. So together they're incredible. A lot of the times people come in and do their Balancer Pro, for 45 minutes, or if they do both garments for an hour and a half, and then we'll do a 20-minute CVAC session right after, just to really make sure we're fleshing everything out. So since like together, it's the combination is pretty unreal. You can speak to how much lighter you feel after doing Balancer Pro and what that does for any fluid retention or anything like that. We get people in that have diagnoses such as edema, or they've been post-surgery, and so there's a lot of fluid buildup, and you can notice a difference right after and then going into the next day. When you pair that with CVAC, it just takes it up that next level. So next time you come in, we'll throw in a CVAC for you, Sara.
I'll be there today. So the question that came in about the CVAC is, would this be safe for everyone?
So yes and no. There are a few contraindications of why someone can't use CVAC. If a doctor has told you you can't fly commercial airlines, you can't use CVAC just because of the pressure changes. The youngest person that's been in there has, I believe, been 4 weeks. It was actually the inventor's daughter who had some issues, cardiac issues. And then the oldest person that's been in there has been in their 90s. We've actually had a couple clients in their 90s come in. So age is not a contraindication. There's also some short-term contraindications. So if someone has a cold, flu, sinus infection, tooth infection, anything that's kind of tied to the sinuses, they need to wait till that passes. I was stubborn one time and went in there with a cold. I will never do it again, because you cannot clear your ears and the pressure builds and it's not pretty. So those are the short term. And then also if you've been exposed to hyperbaric, so hyperbaric is completely opposite of CVAC. CVAC is hypobaric. So you have to wait 48 hours if you've been exposed to hyperbaric, and then you can get into CVAC. However, you can go right from CVAC to hyperbaric. And it's the two different sciences. Hyperbaric definitely has its place, wound healing and burns, incredible. But for like a sports performance and longevity side of things, when you're sitting inside that hyperbaric chamber, you're being flooded with oxygen, which again has its place. But over time on a performance level, your body starts relying on that outsourced oxygen, whereas CVAC is actually making you produce more red blood cells, therefore more oxygen. And so your body's just adapting and becoming stronger that way.
Awesome. Let's dive a little more into the Balancer Pro, because many don't realize what the lymphatic system is, and even how it can relate to weight loss and things that we're working on our health goals. We're doing all the right things and things aren't progressing. And that's why I love this so much. And it's helped me in times when my body was just not working for me, and it's because of stress or other issues that I was experiencing. But let's go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, so the Balancer Pro, the lymphatic system is your largest circulatory system, and it plays so many roles, a lot of immune function with the lymphatic system as well. So basically, the Balancer Pro. So you've heard of compression therapies. There's consumer boots you've probably heard of. We won't name any names. And there's some other consumer products. Balancer Pro is the only medical grade clinical device on the market. It actually has FDA clearance. But we're talking, some of these consumer devices are a couple $1,000s. The Balancer Pro is a $30,000 device. It also affects the entire lymphatic system. So when you've heard of lymphatic massage, a lot of times as athletes or, people, when we hear massage, we think, oh, stronger is better. It's going to release those toxins. Not the case with lymphatic massage. It's almost like just light little butterfly is like kind of a lymphatic massage. So what this device does, there's two garments. There's pants that actually go over your feet and then all the way up to your chest. The reason this is important is because your lymph nodes actually start like kind of where your knee is, and then they go all the way up. I mean, you even have lymph nodes in your face. A lot of the boots, they're just basically doing just that small little area of the lymph, right? So we start with the pants and start pushing it all the way up. And what it feels like, and you can attest to this, Sarah, it's like 4 people massaging you all at the same time, each knowing the exact pressure you need to release that fluid, whether the fluid's, inflammation from a surgery or, we all retain fluid here and there. There's actually tons of different programs. There are some for aesthetics. There's one called, I think, the manufacturer calls it the red carpet, where you can actually lose 2 dress sizes in 3 treatments. So we get a lot of people coming in, before big events and weddings and stuff. But we are not aesthetic at Ascent. I mean, yes, we have some technologies that, would be considered aesthetic, but the reason we purchased them is because of what they do on a cellular level. So I honestly believe, as far as full body compression and lymphatic drainage, there's no device that works as well as the Balancer Pro. And it's been around for over 30 years. There's only one distributor here in the United States who brought it over from Germany, who's become a good friend of mine. And then she's allowed us to have distribution rights as well. And the thing with distribution, every technology we offer the same price that you would get from the distributor. There's a perk for going through us, because you also get business model consultation and then our proprietary programs on a lot of these devices. So yeah, and the Balancer Pro is great because it's in a room where it has other modalities. So we can actually layer that with one of our PEMF devices. And Sarah's a big fan of PEMF as well. I mean, there's hundreds of PEMF devices. Really what they're doing, it's fine tuning, which, the power and really what you're wanting it to do. Ours, like with all PEMF, once your body's exposed to that magnetic field, the cells begin to repel and separate. So part of the aging process or any disease state, blood flow slows down. And what happens when that happens is the cells start clumping on each other and stacking. Well, now inflammation can't get out. So it starts compiling, and that will turn into some pain state or disease state. So by exposing yourself to the PEMF, you're allowing your cells to separate. And then the specific PEMF that we use actually increases, and has been proven to increase blood flow within the capillary system and increase oxygenation by 30%. So you can be laying on that PEMF while doing your Balancer Pro, and then also getting some red light exposure on your face to increase collagen and elastin. And then we have some great, and I don't know if you've tried it yet, the NanoVi ordered water vapor.
You did that once on me,
okay. Yeah. It's an interesting one. And it's working on a whole nother system in the body in regards to protein refolding. So you think about oxidative stress, free radical damage. When we're young and our bodies are performing as they should, we have these proteins that are all folded up, and they basically combat that oxidative stress. Well, as we age, they flatten out and they're not able to combat the oxidative stress and free radical damage. And that's a huge part of the aging process. So this helps mitigate that as far as that system goes. And then, we have some thermal heat technologies that use a negative pressure that really combat inflammation. They've been FDA cleared for that. And then right now we're testing a couple new devices. One I'm wearing right now. It's a frequency wearable device, which basically will scan in real time where you are deficient in frequencies. And this is another learning curve for me. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly learning. We all know that we're made up of frequency. The liver itself has over 900 frequencies that it'll respond to as far as regeneration. And we are all deficient in different frequencies. So if you have something that can analyze that in real time, and then it basically dictates or tells you which programs, so there's like 144,000 frequencies in this medical cloud. And then there's two components to it. One is frequency with your information field, because we all have an information field, an aura. And then the other is done through microcurrent. Microcurrent has been proven to increase ATP by 500% and also increase cell voltage. And that's so important, as we're aging, our cell voltage falls down. We kind of touched on that with the phase angle. When we're, in our prime, we're somewhere around 70 millivolts. And then as it starts falling at 40, it's a sign of inflammation, 40 millivolts. At 15, that could be a sign of tumor cells. At 0, it dies. And the more that happens, I mean, that's definitely part of the aging process. So if you have something that has been proven to increase that, when I first started to test this, I did the in-body 770 analysis, the phase angle analysis. And I have never experienced something that makes that uptick of that phase angle happen as fast as this did. I mean, even if you can get a 0.01 uptick, that's an improvement. It usually only goes down when you're aging. And I got 0.5% in 3 weeks. I haven't retested, so I need to do that. But it's, really exciting for sure. And then we hadn't touched on this, but I fell in love with a little red light device, which was a accessory to another device that we use with the PEMF. And it was just small, little. And so I was just doing it on my face a few years back and noticed a difference in my skin texture and, increase in collagen and elastin. So it actually made me dive in a little deeper to red light therapy for the entire body. And this is one of those technologies that took me about a year to decipher, because there are so many full body photobiomodulation devices on the market, and then some not full body, there's panels and everything. The reason we went with the one that we went with, it's the only one that has FDA clearance, and they're actually doing studies constantly, but it employs 4 wavelengths of light. 2 are aesthetic, so the surface, increasing collagen and elastin. But the reason I got this bed is the other 2, and they actually penetrate down to more of a tissue depth level, organ level. And what they're doing is they're inducing the molecule called nitric oxide, which we need nitric oxide in order to produce ATP. By the time we're 50 years old, we're only producing about 15 to 25% of the nitric oxide that we did in our prime, right? So what this device does, it's been proven to fill those nitric oxide tanks to full, and now you're producing more ATP. Same thing, if we're including things like microcurrent to increase the ATP, it's all kind of working synergistically together, just to, constantly evolve and
so this is the light stem that we're talking about, correct?
Yes, the light stem LED bed. Yeah, and it's go ahead, sorry.
No, it's just there's so many other red light therapies out there, and some are really cheap and some are a lot more expensive, and it's really a hard market to decipher if you're just a consumer and you don't know much. Yeah. So that's why I really wanted to dive into what is so different from this, and I don't want to name brands, but there's some popular ones that a lot of people promote and they have in-house. Mm-hmm. And obviously cost is an issue. Are those other ones doing any good, or are you wasting your money?
I wouldn't say you're wasting your money. It's so basically red light therapy, I mean, it's a huge benefit, and the majority of them are within the 630, 660 nanometer range. And that's just more of a surface level that it's working on, but it is affecting the body. The reason we went with LightStim is because of the other 2 wavelengths that go down a little deeper. So we're talking, I believe it's 855 and 940 nanometers. The light stem is different because it's not, you've seen probably a lot of those canopy beds. So you're laying on your back and then you have the canopy over you. Well, for red light to really penetrate where it needs to and be the most effective to, induce what we're talking about, that nitric oxide and that whole process, you need to be within about a 1/4 inch from the lights. Well, the light stem is recessed the exact amount you need to be. The other component of it, it's temperature controlled. With a lot of these other beds, your core heats up, but your limbs are not. And so for that process, the activation, with the nitric oxide and everything, your body needs to hit a certain temperature as well. And so the light stem has these individual panels that all have a little fan, and it's keeping the temperature at the exact degree that it needs to be in order for this process to happen. A lot of these other light beds will talk about, you can get the same results in 4 minutes on ours. Theirs takes 40 minutes. Well, they've proven that it actually does take 40 minutes with the power that light stem is and the wavelengths that it's emitting for the process to happen. So it's just a thing of efficacy. And it's so funny. I mean, my clients that do light stem, they walk out and they all have the same look on their face, like just in heaven, like they've had, and it's, it's just super serene in that room with that red light. And you just take 40 minutes to yourself. And, it's another room that we can layer technologies, right? Someone can be on the light stem bed and they have the panel over their face, they're laying on their back on the full body, and then you flip after 20 minutes, but you can be doing the NanoVi, or you can be doing, microcurrent at the same time. I mean, so a lot of our clients come in for one thing and then they just start adding and feeling better and better and better. So,
well, it's truly like the ultimate spa, right?
Yeah, and it's going to constantly evolve. I mean, that's what's so exciting. I feel so blessed because we are being approached by so many companies right now. I mean, there's another red bed company, and I have some loyalties to Lightstem. Obviously, that they're a local company. It's made in the USA, and they're a family-owned company. I just adore what they're all about. But we're constantly being approached by, hey, this is the latest, greatest, and so it is my job and my obligation to our clients to make sure we have the device in each sector with the highest efficacy. So I'm never going to say, oh no, I'm not going to check that out. If someone wants to put a bed over at Ascent and we can test against it, I'm so open for that. And so our reputation is really important to me, and just making sure that our clients are taken care of, and we're not selling snake oil ever.
Yeah, and that's the same way I run my business. I always take the best of the best in every category of supplement, and I don't need to carry everything. So I'm not going to just put something on my website or carry a supplement if it's not the best of the best. But that's what's so amazing about your company, is that because you're so cutting edge, everyone's approaching you, and you get the benefit of trying all these things out and deciphering what is good for your clients and what's the best. So I know we haven't gotten to everything. So Nexalin, let's talk about that.
Nexalin is near and dear to my heart because the CEO has become a good friend. But it's funny because we all work together and we're all in the same sector, and we have this commonality as a community to really genuinely want to help people. So you become like family with a lot of these manufacturers and people that I work with. I mean, like you, for instance, you have that close connection. So Nexalin, early on, so they were the third technology we brought in, and goodness, let me think when it was, probably around 2012, they approached us and they said, hey, we have this technology. It's FDA cleared to treat anxiety, depression, and insomnia in the United States. And we weren't working with any other brain technologies. The thing with this one, you do need a recommendation from a practitioner, which we've aligned ourselves with someone that is able to do that after all the paperwork's filled out. But Nexalin's incredible. I've seen people come in, in this day and age, especially, people are anxious. They're having crazy anxiety. They're getting depressed because of what they're seeing. They're not sleeping at night. So to have something that basically it's electric stimulation of the brain. So you take electrodes, very low level, you don't even feel it, but you have an electrode here and then one behind each ear. And what it's doing is it's working to reset the hypothalamus, just to bring everything back into homeostasis. But it's like it's kind of a commitment, because you need to come at least 10 times consecutively, because it's that muscle memory. But yeah, we've gotten to witness people's major anxiety and panic attacks go away, and people who have had insomnia, not sleeping, that paired with the CVAC has been really, really great. And the company's awesome. It's controlled by one of my favorite human beings in the world, Mark White. And yeah, it's starting to actually get a lot of ground too, because when we got involved 12 years ago, no one knew about it, and he's just taken it so to the next level. So it's been great. And then the other thing that we have and I don't know if you've tried it, is the whole body vibration, the Sonics.
So I've used one before. I used to own the one that you have. And I wanted to talk about this because I've had someone on about whole body vibration before, and I have one that's mechanical, and it's more, I use it more for weightlifting and exercise, where the one that's yours, the Sonic, and more based on the sound vibration, I feel like it has so much more benefit, but in a different way. So let's talk about why it's so different than the typical whole body vibration, because you can go on Amazon and get a whole body vibration machine for like $200. So it's not $200.
Well, so the one, we have two at our office. We have one that is $6,000 and one that's $10,000. I personally love the $6,000 one, and the majority of our clients do. So that's the one that we usually sell the most of. But what makes Sonic's whole body vibration so unique is it is not mechanical. So most of the mechanical ones, they're awesome for working out. I mean, it's, that muscle contraction. If you hold a certain position, you can get on it and hold a squat position for 2 minutes, and it's like you've done 300 squats, and you actually feel it the next day. So it's an incredible tool just to increase the muscle tone in your body. But Sonics is different because when you're on one of the mechanical ones, you usually feel it in your lower limbs. But Sonics, when you're standing on it, this is a massive speaker, like the same type of speaker that was developed for the Seoul, Korea Olympics. And when you're standing on it, you're feeling those sound vibrations, but depending on which frequency you're on, you can feel them all the way up, through your head. So there's different frequencies. The reason we actually got it, it's funny, and I didn't know a lot of the benefit like I do now, and I too love to work out on it in just like 10 minutes, and it feels like you've had an hour workout, like with weights. But we got it because there's a certain frequency that I can put people on after being in the CVAC pod when their ears get clogged, and I can put them on there for a couple minutes and they're completely clear. And so for me, I don't, we don't want people to walk out of the center and not be able to hear. So it's just been a great adjunct and tool for that. But it's a really great technology. A lot of our clients have those at home, along with the PEMF and some of that price range right there.
Yeah, and that's what I found. I felt like it was more of a calming effect that I felt from it. The people that because I used to sell those as well, and the elderly, the people that don't really want to work out, but they need to get that circulation in the body, and just for general health, they really loved the machine, made them feel good. I also feel an increase in serotonin, and just helps relax me, helps with any anxiety, and just brain health as well. And like you were touching on with the Nexalin, right now the levels of anxiety and depression and sleep problems are through the roof. And I've committed over the next few weeks to really touch on ways to combat that, because it's such a problem right now. And I just feel so bad for what we're going through, but there's always a silver lining, right? So, well, with so many tools at your fingertips, I'm dying to know, because we only have so many hours in our day, and you have a job, and you have a daughter, and you've got family life. So what are your favorite ones? If you are on limited time, what do you absolutely make time for?
So the PEMF device that we have at Ascent, I have one in my bed. My husband sleeps on one. My daughter sleeps on one. It's the one that I believe in so much, because there's actually a sleep program that's part of some of their patents, and it's crazy because, we have like these other analyzers. So like the Aura Ring, there's, BioStrap, there's all kinds of different ones, but when I am doing, what I'm supposed to be doing with my PEMF and on the sleep program and, some of these others, my scores, because you can see your scores every day, like they're in the high, mid 90s, high 90s with the crown on it. And, my recovery, my heart rate variability, all of that. So you can actually see that these are working. So that particular device is my go-to. I do my morning session with a Energy Plus, right before I even get out of bed. I basically turn the alarm off, take a glass of water, and I'll do 8 minutes on there. And then I would say, my regimen in the morning is kind of funny. I will do that, and then I will go into the kitchen and I'll do some oil pulling while I'm in the shower. And then I usually will do a analysis on my frequencies. This is what I've been doing the last 3 months or so, to see where I'm at. And then I'll give myself a microcurrent. And then, depending, if I'm at the desk, I'll have the NanoVi in with the cannula. I might have my hand in the Avicen. The CVAC, because it's what I started with and is so near and dear to my heart, I do try to get a minimum of 4 CVAC sessions a week, which a CVAC session is 20 minutes. And then I get on the red bed at least once a week, because once you have that buildup with the red bed, a 140-minute treatment will last 4 to 6 days of that full tank, and then it starts falling off. So, ideally you get in twice a week, but most of our clients will come and they'll do it once a week, and it seems to be working for them and all of us. Balancer Pro, I love that technology, but if you're in it in the jacket, I can't work. And I am nonstop. So I give myself that gift and treat, probably a couple times a month, but it's more of a luxury just because you are forced to completely relax, which we all need, and it is one of our more popular, because it is that, wow, I'm really taking care of myself, and you can really feel that experience. Trying to think what else. I mean, those really are the go-tos that I use. And, Nextolin, it's great because I've only used it twice. I've been blessed not having any, depression or insomnia, anxiety. I tend to be in fight or flight mode a lot because I'm just constantly going. And so when I first did Nextolin, I did a series of 10. Didn't really notice much until I was presented with a very stressful situation where I would normally have just lost it. And I was just calm, cool, and collective. And I remember my mom saying, "Oh my gosh, what, you're not freaking out right now?" And I'm just like, "No." And so that's what it did for me. And just not to be in, that fight or flight mode all the time. Just to take the time to, with our PEMF device, I'll do some treatments on my head as well on the really low level that the brain will respond to as far as tissue depth. And I notice a similar feeling from that. And, dementia runs in my family. And so I'm just trying to do preventative things to not have to succumb to that. So
outside of all of these technologies, I know you mentioned intermittent fasting. Is there any specific diet that you follow or any supplements that you are hell-bent on making sure you take on a daily basis?
Yes. So one that I get from you, they renamed it, but Restore is what I call. And, for gut health, I think that there's really nothing that compares to that. I mean, one of my triggers forever was gluten. It took me a while to find that out. I'd get all my inflammation under control and, be eating super good. And then I would just have a pizza and have this crazy flare up. And so I really do have to stay away from gluten. What I try to do is just eat as balanced as possible with clean, healthy meats. I will definitely eat meat, but I really am careful from where they're sourced from. I try to limit my carbs, not completely, but as much as possible. Healthy fats. I would say it's kind of like a modified keto, is maybe with a little bit more protein lately, just because I've started to work work with someone in regards to just kind of change. I'm in my mid 40s now, and my metabolism isn't what it was. So just trying to stay on top of that. And, just there's so many holistic things as far as the colloidal silver that you offer. Like you should see, I mean, it's probably nothing compared to yours, Sarah, but the pharmacy, my husband calls it, he's just like, but you never know what's going to happen, right? So you want to be prepared. I can't tell you the last time I went to the doctor and my daughter went to the doctor. Like, honestly, I can't tell you.
It's an amazing feeling. And that's what I want people to come away from with this today, because with quarantine and everything we're going through, it's harder to get to the doctor and you're scared to go to the hospital and you don't want to put yourself in that position. I can't believe it. We are almost out of time. So before we go, please tell people where they can find you, the website, and your location.
Thank you, Sarah. So my company name is Ascent, Adaptation and Regeneration. The website is AscentAdaptation.com. And if you Google Ascent Newport Beach, it'll come up. We're right off the 73 freeway and Irvine Avenue, pretty conveniently located. We've been in the facility for 8 years. And then our office line is 949-474-4404, or you can email us at info@ascent-oc.com, and Ascent is spelled ASCENT.
Awesome, Heather. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I know people are going to have 1,000 questions and want to come in and check everything out. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And if I can help you with your health issues, contact me directly at Sara@acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you. I know sometimes it's hard to know where to start. And for those of you listening to just the audio, you can now find the video version on YouTube Live, and it will be recorded as well on Facebook. And join us live every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, and my YouTube channel under Accelerated Health Radio. You can also find me on iHeART Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora, and whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. I also am now doing Accelerated Health Bites, where I do short informational videos about health topics and solutions that you ask me about. So if you have a condition or topic you want me to address, let me know. And if you like what you heard today, please hit the subscribe button and share this with a few friends that may need my help. As you share my channel, it helps me help more people like you and bring more cutting edge guests on my show like Heather. Don't miss next week's interview with Sadie Lincoln from Bar 3. We will talk about how to use physical, mental, and emotional health to gain self-love and confidence. You can use coupon W4HC20 for 20% off site-wide at Accelerated Health Products. Thanks again for joining us today, and have a great week.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Heather.
Are you wanting to optimize your physical, mental, and emotional health? Visit www.acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Accelerated Health Products to detox, reset, and rebuild your immune system naturally, and to accelerate your body, mind, and spirit with cutting-edge supplements and solutions. Get Sara Banta's personal advice on a protocol just right for you. That's www.acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Thank you for joining us today on W4HC Radio for Accelerated Health Radio with Sara Banta. Make sure to tune in every week at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to uncover your highest potential through natural and innovative wellness modalities.